This is What If Unknown. Now I'm going to be doing part 1 of What If Deku had All for One. Now before I get into the video, I'd like to say I do not own the music used in the background. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into the video. Hey, all for One. I understand that you have to go. You do not want anybody targeting our little Izuku after all. But if anything would happen to me, I need you to take care of him. I want you to protect him and make sure he's strong. If he goes down the path of villainy with you after you take him, please, I beg of you, treat him to have some class, or treat him to have morals. Even a villain can have morals, no matter what. As All for One says, of course, Inko. But it's not like anything would happen to you, right? As she says, it's just promise me that you will take care of our son. As he says, of course, Inko, I would never abandon him. And I'm sorry that I have to go. As Inko says, it's alright. Maybe we'll see each other again in the future. As she smiles at All for One, as he smiles back. As then, most things go to canon. As Izuku still is diagnosed as quirkless. But the doctor, he was told to always, if Izuku was to come into the quirk doctor, if he had All for One, or All for One's quirk, to tell him that he's quirkless, because people would target Izuku after they found out, one, he's All for One's kid, and All Might might come after him as well, and two, he might be used for power, and he might be feared just because of his quirk. So you see, Izuku, this version of All for One, it is stronger, it's better than All for One's quirk, but Izuku has to want the quirk, has to not necessarily just want it, no. He needs to want to take it from that person. That is how it works, exactly, for Izuku. But anyway, everything goes as canon, as Izuku is still bullied for being quirkless, and so on. Now we cut to the fight between Nana Shimura and All for One. As All for One, it goes on as canon as he's beating Nana Shimura, but he accidentally hits Nana Shimura with a de-aging quirk. Now this de-aged her from 50 to 40 years old too. Now she is now 20 years old. As the de-aging quirk puts the person under almost, you could say, a near-death state. From the naked eye, it would look dead. The person looked dead, but she is not. As All for One did not really want to kill Nana. He just wanted to basically injure her and make her not a hero anymore. But since he noticed what he did to Nana with the de-aging, he decided to take her with him. Now, during this time, All Might thought All for One killed her. He still got All for One, or One for All, sorry. All Might has still got One for All. And he decided to take out his anger, that he's gonna go fight some villains. Well, during this, you could say, incident, All Might, unfortunately, wasn't used to the power that One for All gave him. He was still getting used to the power. And in this, you could say, fight, or this little temper tantrum that All Might gave, it's unfortunately got some casualties. And unfortunately, Inko Midoriya was caught in the crossfire between All Might and the other villains that were fighting him. As the power of the shockwave that All Might did towards the villains, it just killed anything in impact, basically. And Inko Midoriya was unfortunately in the wrong place, in the wrong time, as she unfortunately passes away. Well, during this time, All For One was waiting for Nana Shimura to wake up. After all, he just did DH her, and, well, it's basically very tiresome on the body and very strainful, as he's waiting for Nana to wake up, as he gets a phone call. Well, you see, he goes under the alias Hisashi Midoriya, as he gets a phone call saying that, unfortunately, his wife has passed away due to a villain attack, and, well, she was caught in the crossfire. As All For One just feels distraught. He feels terrible. But he remembers the promise that he made with Inko. But then he realized, I need to get to Izuku. But during this, Nana Shimura woke up and heard what was going on through the phone of what happened to All For One's, you could say, wife. And she says, I didn't know you had a wife. As he says, well, unfortunately not anymore. As he sheds a tear. As then he quickly goes and calls Kurogiri to go find his son quickly. As then he says, of course. Now during this time, Izuku is in the middle school. You see, Bakugo still tells him, you nerd, you're a quirkless loser. Might as well just go off and jump off a cliff, or jump off the school building. Maybe you'll get a quirk in your next life. As Midoriya thinks about this, he says, maybe I will. As then as he starts walking away, as Bakugo leaves school, Izuku walks up to the roof, as then he steps on the ledge, as he thinks, I still have Mom. She wouldn't want me to do this. I don't want to leave her all alone. So he starts turning around, as then he gets a phone call, and he gets to hear the news, the unbearable news, that his mother, the best mom, Inko Midoriya, has unfortunately passed away due to a villain attack. As Izuku felt distraught, he felt like he had nothing left. After all, his father disappeared when he was born, and, well, the only person he had was his mom, and, well, Bakugo's, well, you could say, insult, or so on, started seeming more appealing to Izuku, as then he takes a step off, as then Kurogiri appears, as he says he's on the phone with All For One, as All For One says, did you find my son? As then Kurogiri says, yes, but, he's on this, as we cut to Kurogiri, as he sees Izuku on the phone, as then Kurogiri goes, it appears he's on the phone with somebody, as then Kurogiri sees Izuku's phone fall out of his hand, as he starts crying, as then he falls, takes a step and falls. As Kurogiri says, sir, your son jumped. As he says, Kurogiri, get him no matter what. That is an order. I told her my wife I'd protect him, so do it. As then Nana's like, oh, I forgot. He said he had a son. As then Kurogiri opens a portal as under him, as he's still going at high speeds. As then the portal appears next to All For One and Nana, as Izuku passed through the portal. Sorry about that. Anyway, as Izuku is passing through the portal, Nana Shimura touches him with float and allows him, basically, to prevent him from hitting the ground. As All For One says, "Thank you, Nana. Appreciate it very much." Stop it, Scarlet. Sorry, that was my dog. She's clawing at the door. If you heard that, I apologize. Anyway, as Nana stops it, as then time passes a little bit, as then Izuku starts waking up, as then he notices, well, am I dead? I didn't feel the impact. As then he looks over and sees All For One. He just says, "Who are you supposed to be?" As then he says, "Well, you can call me All For One. Oh, I'm the #1 villain. And this is a friend," as he, you could say, introduces Nana Shimura. As then Izuku says, "Oh, never mind. I know who you are. You're my father, of course." As All For One's shocked as he goes, "Wait, you know? How do you know?" He says, "Well, obviously my mom would tell me if something happened to her to go looking for you, but, well, I didn't because, well, you left us, and, well, I don't know where you would be, and I could care less. After all, you left me when I was a child, or before I was even born, so." As All For One says, "I did it to protect you." As Izuku says, "Well, that may be true, but the only person that I cared about was dead now, so what good is that?" And then All For One says, "I'm sorry. I should have protected your mom more. I tried to protect her, but unfortunately, things happen, and, well, you know." As then Izuku says, "Yeah, I know." As then he looks at Nana, as Nana's like, "Hello. What's your name?" As then Izuku says, "My name is Izuku Midoriya. What is yours?" As she says, "I'm Nana Shimura. Well, I was the #1 hero." As he says, You're supposed to be dead, aren't you?" Or, "I heard over the news before I got the phone call." As then she says, "That's funny. I mean, I'm not dead. Well, maybe Nana Shimura the past, like the #1 hero, might be dead, but I'm very much alive. You see, during our battle earlier, well, your father hit me with a de-aging quirk, so I kind of de-aged from, well, the age of what I was to, well, 20. And Izuku says, "Oh, interesting." As then Izuku stands up, as then Nana Shimura starts licking her lips, as then he says, "Oh." Izuku says, "Oh, I'm flattered, but..." As he starts blushing towards, since Nana Shimura, implied. As then she says, "What? I didn't mean anything of it." As then All For One noticed Nana Shimura, well, licking her lips when she saw Izuku. As he goes, "What?" As then Izuku says, "Oh, you got me a present?" As All For One says, "She's not present. What?" As then Nana Shimura says, "Well, I'm not complaining." As Izuku says, "Oh." And she says, "Well, do you wanna get together?" As then Izuku says, "What? You just met?" And she says, "Well, I mean, kind of like what I see." As Izuku says, "Oh, same here." As then All For One's just confused. He's like, "What? You just tried to commit suicide, and I just de-aged. What are you doing?" And then she says, "What? You got a problem?" And then he says, I may have technically gave you a second chance, Nana Shimura, but this is my son. He's 15. You're 20. That's a 5-year difference. And then she says, that's not that big of a difference. It's just 5 years. As All For One just goes, this is weird. As then Izuku goes, oh, well, what's going on here? As Nana Shimura says, so, will you be mine? Because I kind of interest me. I kind of like what I see. As Izuku says, oh, me be yours? No, you would be mine. Then Nana says, what? Are you serious? Then he says, I mean, look at you, like, why would I pass this up? And then Nana starts blushing. And then he says, plus, your quirk is amazing. You got float, correct? She says, yeah, what of it? He says, that quirk is such an interesting quirk. It's so fascinating. What? He's like, you got such an amazing quirk. Like, I mean, I wouldn't pass up on that, and plus, your looks help. But he's like, it's kind of weird, though. You were once 50 years old, so technically, you're kind of an older woman. And she gets angry. It's Nana Shimura says, what? You're not supposed to compare ages, I almost said Naruto, huh? As Izuku goes, well, even if you were that age, I wouldn't complain. But this is even better. You're only 5 years difference, so, I mean... As then Nana Shimura says, well, I guess I'm gonna need a new identity, correct? As in All For One says, I mean, yeah, but I mean, you could take my wife's name, well, our last name, Midoriya, as as Nana Shimura goes, oh? So then, does that mean I'm with Izuku? As she says, why don't might as well just get together with Izuku, or get married? As then Izuku says, what? We just met. As then Nana says, are you complaining? As Izuku says, no. I mean, we're not even boyfriend and girlfriend, we just met, so... But, I mean, if you want to get married, I'm not complaining. As then she says, oh? She's like, I guess, you're mine now. He says, no, correction, you are mine. As then All For One starts hearing something dripping on the ground. As he says, do I have leaky pipes or something? As Nana Shimura says, oh, let's get going. I want to go get out of here. This is kind of boring in this building. As Izuku says, oh, I see. It is very boring. I could tell. You were very bored. Interesting. Well, after all, we could go have some fun now if you want. As Nana says, oh, okay. And that's where I'm going to leave it off. I hope you guys enjoy and have a great day or night depending on time zones. And don't forget to like and subscribe.